At this point, they're just looping their idiocy. Folks, we're here to tell you that the Walt Disney Company, they're not done with turning Jordan Peterson, the famous psychologist out of Canada, into the villain of their fantasy stories. Despite him just wanting people to clean their rooms and take control of their lives, Disney continues to use him with the villainizing role, this time in Star Wars The Acolyte. We'll tell you all about it right now. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we are explaining entertainment each and every day right here out of the studio in somewhere sunny USA. And we are happy to have you come our way today as we talk about Jordan B. Peterson, the good doctor who Disney seems to really despise. This time it's not Marvel. This time it's not those other things they've put him in. No, it's Star Wars, quoting Dr. Jordan B. Peterson with their villain. Shall we call him Darth? Oh, who knows? Who cares? No one cares what kind of Darth he is. He's Darth Smilo Ren. But folks, we're here to tell you, Leslie Headland identifies with this guy. So who knows? Maybe she likes Dr. Peterson. Don't know. But we'll tell you what's really going on right now. We saw this with Marvel already once upon a time, but it's back just in time for The Acolyte. It is, folks, that The Acolyte seems to be quoting from Jordan B. Peterson. Dr. Jordan B. Peterson in the mouth of Smilo Ren. Not a thing I think the good doctor might have been anticipating. But here's what it says. This by Zach Jewell, and it is out of dailywire.com, where they cover these sorts of things, especially since Dr. Jordan B. Peterson is one of the personalities on Daily Wire. Villain in new highly criticized Star Wars series seemingly quotes Jordan Peterson. The new Disney Plus Star Wars series, The Acolyte, appeared to quote Daily Wire Plus host Dr. Jordan B. Peterson in a line from one of the show's villains in a recent episode. Screenwriters and a comic book author have seemingly used Peterson as a template for villains in the past, including in Olivia Wilde's Don't Worry, Darling, and in a Captain America comic. After episode 5 of The Acolyte dropped last week, using Peterson as the inspiration behind a story's bad guy appears to be a trend. How dare he want to help the world with his books and his intellectual thoughts. The latest example of a villain appearing to quote Peterson was first reported by Looper last week in the episode Khmer, also known and mostly known as Smilo Ren, played by Manny Jacinto, quotes something said by Peterson in a 2022 interview nearly word for word. Even in the revelation of our triumph, we see the depth of our despair. Khmer says at the end of the episode, on January 3rd, 2022, folks, let's check the timeline. January 3rd, 2022. That would have been about the time they were probably writing the show. Yeah, that adds up. On January 3rd, 2022, Peterson appeared on entrepreneur Stephen Bartlett's podcast, The Diary of a CEO, and said, wherever I go in the world, people come up to me, and they often have a pretty rough story to relate. It's an awful thing because, you see, even in the revelation of their triumph, the initial despair or the initial depth of their despair. Paraphrasing, no accent needed. First Red Skull, then Olivia Wilde's movie villain, now a dark side villain. I can't. Peterson's daughter, Michaela, tweeted on Sunday. Also, Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage took some ideas from Dad. Too good, she added. All right, let's go to the panel now. Are we at all shocked and surprised that Leslie Headland is such a bad writer that she's literally copy and pasting Jordan Peterson into Acolyte scripts? Culture, why don't you get a start on this? I see the grimace. So take us where you want to go.
It's strange because, things that I would think would be relatively inoffensive, like clean your room and things like that, are being demonized and are in front of our very eyes. And I think that's a problem. True virtue and goodness and common sense and things that everyone should possess are being mocked by having these hacks utilize them for ill measure. I mean, they're trying to do their level best to mock this man who really has all the best intentions for everyone. And
what's up with the hate for Peterson? I mean, of all the people in the world, like, why is it just this guy they keep aping in their little stories? Why can't You know, why is it not Ben Shapiro? Why is it not Dave Rubin? Why is it Peterson?
Well, first of all, he's not intimidating in any way. He does sound much like Kermit the Frog, which your impersonation there was kind of indicative of earlier. But he's constantly shutting down arguments from the intelligentsia, and basically makes a mockery of their pursuit of these radical ideologies that really do break down society. So at every turn, he's constantly saying, well, this is what's wrong with what you're doing. And he does it in such a way that they don't have an argument to come back with. All they can do is attack him. Ad hominem attacks are, well, an indication that you've won the argument. And in this case, they know he's won the argument. So they're gonna ape him and mock him whenever they can, because there's no other way around, the messages that he's sending, in my opinion, anyway.
Erika, we're actually hearing that episode 6, which is what we'll be watching tonight and doing the Acolyte after party, is going to be the worst episode we've seen so far. And that is coming from sources who have seen it. I can't imagine how bad it must be to do that. But Erika, do you think what this really says is that perhaps Leslie Headland does not make her bed? Is that really what we can take away from it?
Sorry, I don't watch the show. I'm just catching what you guys put out there. From what I gather, I don't understand how it could get any worse. It sounds like it's just they're beating a dead horse. And there's really not much more I can speak to that. Other than
Erika,
just
how about this? Do you think it's a good idea for writers to be pulling, popular YouTubers, their quotes verbatim and dropping them into the mouths of villains? Or do you think that's what we in the industry once upon a time called, quote unquote, lazy?
Lazy or plagiarism? I mean,
wouldn't that be great if Peterson hit him with a plagiarism? That would be great if he sued them and said, make up your own words next time.
If anything, it just shows the creative bankruptcy, a lack of just writing skills and being able to form a script and character dialogue. That's, which, all that's just been discussed ad nauseum,
I think it definitely points to a reality where folks like Leslie Headland, they can't exit the real world. Like they can't, in their head canon, they can't make up new things. So they just quote whatever's in front of them. And then because they live in their own little fantasy where, people who want you to clean your room are ultra villains that need to be defeated so that they can feel virtuous, then they just take their words and stick them straight onto a stupid looking helmet. Loki, am I missing anything here? Have I misstepped anywhere in this analysis?
The power of one Jordan B. Peterson. No, man. Look, this is the thing. Anybody that says anything against their narrative is a villain. Anybody that says anything against their narrative needs to be silenced. They want to put a narrative out there that everything's great, that everything they say is true, that they're the only ones being honest, that their way is the only way, the power of one, the power of many, the power of whatever, that this is the way it has to be. If you go against that, they want you silenced. They want you shamed. They want to publicly shame you, and they want to silence you. What better way to do that than put your words into the voice of a villain? So if they can villainize you, if they can tokenize you, if they can silence you, that is the way they are going to roll so that their narrative runs over everything anybody else says.
Okay, so let me ask you about that then. Why do you think, because we've seen this repeatedly with Peterson being the target, why do you think, Loki, that Peterson is their villain du jour over and over?
Because he goes against everything that they're talking about. Okay, you can get angry. A lot of people get angry. Look at YouTubers that get angry every day. They're like, man, I can't stand this. This is he comes at it from a logical perspective. They can't handle that because they have nothing else to throw at him. So all they can do is say, bad, bad, bad. This person's bad. Let's make sure that all these quotes, that all these things we put in here, villainize his talking points without directly attacking them, because they can't do that. They've got nothing to throw at him.
I think you're exactly right. I think it points to the fact that they see the teachings of Jordan Peterson as something that is villainous to them, and he's talking about personal responsibility. Whatever you might think of the man, whatever you might think of what he has to say, He's definitely not out there
No.
insisting that people become violent or do wrong things.
I think that's really the thing that probably bugs them a lot is there's a lot of disaffected young men in our culture, and there's a lot of this culture that feeds disaffected young men, and I'm if we want to relate this back to the pop culture that we talk about so often, that pop culture was maybe a crutch for a lot of guys that I know, and maybe even for me as well, that you, instead of having a personality, you just follow a topic over and over again and become a lore master on some subject. And you, instead of building your own life, you are like looking forward to the next product to consume. It's kind of an anti-pop culture thing to get into this Jordan Peterson stuff. I read his first book. I thought it was a slow read. His voice was
Now, wait a minute. Are you talking about Maps of Meaning, or are you talking about his?
No, I'm talking about 10 Rules for Life. Yeah,
okay,
you're right.
10 Rules for Life. Gotcha.
Maps of Meaning is I don't count that as.
I was going to be impressed if you read Maps of Meaning. That's like a PhD level.
Right. That's a
textbook.
textbook. That's a textbook more than I would consider it a book. But you take a fat professor from Canada, and he obviously applies his own self-improvement stuff. And look at him now. And I'm not saying he's going to be on Men's Health, but he's in shape. He's doing well. He's gone from a guy who obviously checked the box as far as he got to dress up a little bit for work to now he dresses well, and he's inspiring a lot of young men to dress well. So I think there's something that doesn't quite jive for the people who think that he's evil. They're seeing a lot of self-improvement from the people who are going through the whatever 10 rules for life and 10 more steps or whatever, all of that. And I think that people are threatened when they see a positive movement that they disagree with.
And folks, we have come to the end, but do not fret, not yet, for more content is still coming 3 times daily. And if you're not yet subscribed to our sister channels that are covering other topics in other genres, well, consider it if you like the content you find here. That Park Place, That Pod Place, That Game Place, and if you want fun new music, Vacation Radio. It's all part of the cacophony, the kaleidoscope, the cornucopia of news coverage you have come to expect from us, with truthful insights and analysis. All right, folks, it's time for us to bid you adieu. On the way out the door, though, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Folks, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.